this season they are more with a 9 and 10 press, so they're more in a 4-4-2.
Arne Slot explained tactically how he dismantled Manchester United in a 3-0 humbling on Sunday. And for Erik Ten Hag, there is a serious issue I need to talk about in this video. Because we can all talk about individual problems, and we absolutely will. But the root of the issue is far deeper, and Jim Ratcliffe's reaction after the game was very telling. 3 games into the season, and it feels like we're having the same sorts of conversations now that we had all last season, that we hoped that we buried in last season, but instead they're rearing their ugly head. And what I want to speak about in this video, as I said in the intro there, is about some key issues. I want to speak about Ten Hag and his reaction to the game. I want to speak about problems that we saw and what comes next, because a continuation of what we saw against Liverpool will get Erik Ten Hag sacked. Absolutely guaranteed. That performance, that reaction from Jim Ratcliffe, it will happen. If what we saw there on Sunday is how this season goes, it will only end in one way. Now, back in August, I did a video talking about how Erik Ten Hag builds his Manchester United 2.0. How do we progress from last season to this season? And I said this: we need to see United control games. We need to see United dictate both in and out of possession. That's essential for long-term success. And that is what will demonstrate tangible progress. Tangible progress. Controlling games of football. Which is where this game comes as a complete polar opposite of what we wanted and what we needed to see. All right? Erik Ten Hag spoke about it after the game and said, look, he doesn't feel that the same problems from last season were on display against Liverpool. And I disagree with him. All right? I've already explained in the live show this morning how this here is the average position of Manchester United players against Liverpool. Look how deep our line is. Look at the space between our midfield and our attack. Look at how it's just that there are so many different issues. And here is an example, right? Screenshot. This is when Liverpool scored their first goal that was ruled out for offside. All right. I'm just going to circle a few things here. I'm going to circle that space between our midfield and our defense. I'm going to point out this line here. I'm going to point about that's just such a strange line. I'm going to point out how Rashford isn't helping the press up there, how Garnacho isn't helping the press up there, how Bruno Fernandes is up here pressing on his own. There are so many different points of that little screenshot there, which is just a little example of what we saw in the game from things that we saw last season. And this here was Erik Ten Hag. It was a feisty interview. Feisty? Not sure. Fiery is probably the way I would describe it. Speaking after the game to a journalist.
Explain me which mistakes we make regular.
Well, constantly turning the ball over in your own half, playing the ball out from the back, getting mugged, chances coming on the back of it, counter-attacks when you're outnumbered, giving up endless chances in your own stadium against the team's biggest rivals. With the greatest respect to it, we've been seeing that for so long now.
You are sure?
Absolutely.
Right.
I don't think otherwise you wouldn't win trophies as we did and to beat big opponents.
The whole trophies conversation is getting a little bit tiresome, in my opinion. Erik Ten Hag here was asked about the coaching issue. And look, journalists, they don't want Manchester United to do well. Come on, they're feeding on it. They're feasting on it, have been for a long time. But I think it's a fair thing to point out that a lot of the problems that we saw, we have seen before. All right. And Arne Slot, speaking after the game, just kind of very simply, in a non-aggressive fashion, just sort of said, well, this is how United pressed last season. This is how they're pressing this season. Because of that, this is kind of how we set up in possession. We had Szoboszlai playing on the left. We had 3 midfield runners. We ran through. We knew that if we pressed them high and we won the ball back because Casemiro's dropped, it's kind of simply explained. And this, again, is the issue here that I saw is we've got a new assistant manager in Hake, in Van Nistelrooy. But all the same problems for last year existed this year. Now, look, yeah, there were massive individual errors, right? Massive individual errors. But a team should be able to cope with individual errors. A team should be able to move forward and through repeated patterns, overcome those individual errors. Those anomalies, if you want to call them anomalies. But instead, it's just, it kind of feels like Ten Hag maybe he doesn't know what to say. He doesn't want to say what he actually sees. I don't know. He said, look, we got humbled, and we did get humbled. But you can't just look at trophies. Look, if we're speaking about trophies being a success, did we massively progress under Mourinho? I don't think we did. We won plenty of trophies there. Trophies are not the determining factor. Of course, for Manchester United, we have to win trophies. But for Erik Ten Hag this season, the trophy for him is the progression of football, the continuous every single week. Manchester United just improving and getting better. And you can look at it and going, there you go. That's where the new signings made a difference. That's much better than last season. But instead, through that performance and through examples like this, you just see the same old problems that we saw last season. And Roy Keane spoke about it after the game, so that you can dress it up however you want, but United was shocking because we were shocking. Gary Neville said after the game, look, Manchester United will get better, and we will. Ugarte, when he comes in, will make a difference in midfield. Højlund, when he comes back, will make a difference up front. And we will improve. But we needed to see more than what we saw against Liverpool. And in fact, the complete opposite. All right. Ineos, in the build-up to the FA Cup final, made it clear through their actions that they didn't have 100% trust and belief in Erik Ten Hag. And having finished 8th in the league and after the season that we've had, of course, that was the correct thing for them to do, to assess other options. Now, they decided, after assessing everything, Poch and Tuchel and all that jazz, they decided that Erik Ten Hag, keeping him and giving him the chance to work in a new football structure for the first time as Manchester United manager post-Fergie, that was the right decision. But Ineos have already made it clear that they have questions around Erik Ten Hag. Okay? And we've now got 5 games after, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but honestly, I think it's the truth. I'm not here suggesting that Erik Ten Hag's... No, in fact, his job is on the line. Of course it is. All right? And I'm somebody who's supported him. And I will criticise when criticism is necessary. I will support when support is necessary. But to try and suggest that this Manchester United team, if you just cut out the individual errors, great, would be perfect. I think that's false. All right, we've got these 5 games post the international break before the next one. Starting with Southampton away, not easy. Palace away, not easy. Spurs at home and Villa away, not easy. There are no givens in the Premier League anymore. And Erik Ten Hag was given an opportunity to prove that progress will come off the back of a good transfer window, off the back of new appointments coming in, and new coaching staff, a new setup, responsibility being taken away from you, support coming in, 50 million being put into Carrington, and all these things have happened. And then against Liverpool, the exact same sort of performance last season that led to Erik Ten Hag having his job being under question and Ineos looking at other people. That can't happen. The room for error for Erik Ten Hag is a lot less this season because it's the 3rd season. Because of all the support and all the work that's gone on behind the scenes, Ineos will need to see that progress on the pitch. And instead of that, it was just the same old problems. And I think Erik Ten Hag's, as I said, that fiery sort of interview with that journalist and his response to it, I'm worried, man. How can you not be worried after you've just been humbled and humiliated by Liverpool at Old Trafford? Again, in a new season where it was supposed to feel and look different, and it looks exactly the same in that game.